You're watching Back Pages tonight. Welcome back to you at home. Welcome back to the Athletics Manchester United correspondent Carl Anker and also the Daily Mail's chief sports feature writer Riyadh Al Samurai. OK, we're going to talk Women's Euros and head to The Guardian, who've got a Sweden versus England special with Emma Hayes, Lucy Bronze and friend of the show, Jonathan Liu, all featured here. So, Riyadh, how big a threat, as Emma Hayes said, are Sweden, especially given this incredible unbeaten run that they're on and the way that they dismantled Germany in topping their group?
Yeah, I think it's an incredibly dangerous match. I think we've obviously all, as is pretty standard for a major championship, sort of gone through undulations with this side so far, obviously since the defeat to France, when our let's just say our expectations went through the floor, and it's obviously improved a lot against the Netherlands and against Wales. So on paper, you might make the argument that the Lionesses are favourite, but Emma Hayes makes some really good points in there. So aside from the sort of 15-game unbeaten run, you look at the Swedish team on paper, and I think she makes the point that if you were to put them pound for pound with sort of against the teams that are up against in the competition, they might be around about 7th, but clearly the reality is different, and they've also moved on a huge amount since they met in the Euros in 2022, and Lionesses won 4-0. It's moved on a lot, as the sum of their parts is really quite impressive. We know that they've got a big threat from set pieces. They crushed Germany in the group stages, so it is going to be a tough match. But we have seen this quite impressive progress from Wiegman's team in Switzerland, and I can remember coming on the show a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about it. We had the three retirements prior to the tournament, and it really felt like a knife edge moment for Wiegman. Is this going to be the tournament too far where it all imploded? And if I'm honest, I thought it probably would be, but the performance against the Netherlands, I think was superb. Wales, they were clearly the stronger side, and that one went a little bit more with the form book, we should say. But they have turned it around. They have got that escalating belief, and they also they have got an excellent squad. So when those stars align, you do look at it and think that they're in a very strong position. I would also say they've got the favourable side of the draw, given that Spain are on the other side. So this is an absolutely enormous test for them. If they come through it and with the momentum that they would take from it, I wouldn't necessarily want to put any limits on where it's going to go from there.
There's this phrase that's come up quite a lot, a mantra, Carl, which is a proper England performance. We've heard Lucy Bronze talk about it. We heard, obviously, Sarina Wiegman mention it. What does that mean to you? And is there any danger that it's kind of overused? It could be something that can come back to bite you a little bit?
My interpretation of it is proper execution of what Sarina wants from her players. This England team has, to my mind, one of the highest ceilings of everyone at the Euros. It's to them in Spain, as far as I'm concerned. However, the floor, when players aren't focusing on their jobs at hand, you can get results like against France. And I think proper England is the camp saying, pay attention, do your jobs properly, do proper England stuff. So a mantra to lock in, as the Gen Z parlance is absolutely fine. This matchup is going to be fascinating because Sweden have become a team that have gone about eliminating unforced errors, whereas England seem to be a little bit prone to them. I think Nikita Paris, in the last 2 or 3 days, has been excellent, talking about the double-edged sword that is Lauren James, who is just a phenomenal football player, but there are questions over whether or not she's better as a number 10 or on the left, and what happens when the ball is lost and Lauren James is in very, very advanced areas. I think the interplay between James and Ella Toon, if Ella Toon does start, is going to be really, really key. And I'm really impressed by the strength of Sweden's fullbacks as well. This is going to be a great match. I highly recommend everyone watches this.
Yeah, we'll definitely be keeping across it for sure. Let's talk about something else which is on tomorrow, and we're showing live on Sky Sports. That's, of course, the Open. And Riyadh, you've written a piece from where you are, Raw Portrush, about to see 4 days of cracking links golf, I'm sure. Bring it on. Using the word pressure. Now, interesting, that word, especially when it's talking about Rory McIlroy. How much pressure is there on this man, given he's at home, but given he's now done the career Grand Slam? Do you sense that, you know, it's a little bit more of a relaxed Rory McIlroy that'll be teeing it up with Tommy Fleetwood and Justin Thomas tomorrow?
I say it is, but I very much doubt it. I wrote a column about Rory McIlroy last weekend and the expectation, and I kind of put forward my theory. I don't think any sportsman from the UK in certainly in recent years has had as much sustained pressure as him. We've seen it with Lewis Hamilton, but we make mitigations for the car that he's driving. We had it in absolutely astronomical levels for Andy Murray, but a third of his career was lost to injury if you look to sort of the last 7 or 8 years. And then you have Andy Murray, then you have Rory McIlroy, who 4 times a year for 18 seasons now pretty much has faced the question, is Rory going to win? If he doesn't win, is it a disaster? And we got to the point, if we look at Pinehurst, we look at LA Country Club, we look at St Andrews, majors where Rory McIlroy would finish in the top 2, 3, 4 positions, and they would be described as failures. So this man is under constant expectation, and now he's playing in an Open at Portrush, where we shouldn't forget in 2019 he went there, and on the first tee, his first shot, he carved out of bounds on the left. He took a quadruple bogey 8 and missed the cut. And that entire week, we'd been talking about Rory as the overwhelming favourite to win. Now he goes back. Now, this is an interesting scenario. He has a putting coach, Brad Faxon, who is a legend of the game in the US, but he's also quite indiscreet. And he's mentioned this week that Rory has twice played that first hole and twice gone out of bounds on Monday and Tuesday. I don't know if Rory will thank him for pointing that out, but he will. He is the main show in town here again. He is the reigning Masters champion. He is the world number 2. He comes here on the back of quite a prolonged period of difficult form, but there are certainly some very strong signs of him turning that around in Scotland last week. I was over there covering it. His mood has improved. He says he's got his motivation back. He's certainly got a spring in his step, but he comes into this tournament where his face is on every billboard. He is on the back page of every newspaper. He is the person who the 260,000 fans who are going to be there across the week. He's the guy most of them are coming to watch, and I am really interested to see how he can handle that, because he has worn the expectation heavily. He described it earlier this week as like being on a hamster wheel, the relentlessness of professional golf, and now he comes into this Open where all eyes are on him. I think it's going to be fascinating to see how he gets on, but in his favour is he does appear to be playing well, except for that first hole at Portrush.
OK, we've got literally 30 seconds to speak about the Lions. Apologies, Carl, you're going to have to be super concise here. Confirmation, of course, of Andy Farrell's selection for the first test against the Wallabies on Good Morning Sports Sounds from 7. All the talk about Tom Curry coming in, but Owen Farrell and Henry Pollock missing out, Carl.
Totally makes sense. Owen Farrell's very much viewed as a dressing room element rather than someone who's going to contribute to the first test. Very much seems that this is going to be a Lions that is going to be very, very, very physical, a lot of running power, which is, I mean, that's a very good way to play against Australia. Very much looking forward to it. Yeah, well, we will see, because the first of 3 tests, I don't think it's a foregone conclusion, but definitely a big chance this for the Lions to come back with some silverware. Well, thank you very much indeed, guys. Really appreciate your time. If you missed any of the show, another chance to see Back Pages tonight at 1:30 the hour. The show also available as a podcast. Just download Back Pages on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your pods.